So I don't have any slideshow made today. I've actually been in bed all weekend, but so. So today is Ekadasi, very auspicious day, and all Vaishnavas, they observe Ekadasi. So Ek means one in Sanskrit, and Das means 10. So 1 plus 10 is 11. So on the 11th day before the new moon, and the 11th day before the full moon, that is known as Ekadasi. And in our tradition, not just our tradition, but many people in India, they observe Ekadasi by fasting. So in accordance with a particular lunar cycle. And the best way is called Nirjala Ekadasi, to fast even from water. But that's quite difficult. So then the next is you can fast only taking fruit juice or fruit or milk. But at the very least, don't take any grains on this day of Ekadasi. Because on this day of Ekadasi, we know very well that the moon is controlling all the large bodies of water on Earth. Every 12 hours, the tide's going in and out, full, low, 6 hours later, high tide again. And our body is 73% water. So if you take grains on Ekadasi, it acts like blotting paper. And whatever disease that you're susceptible to, it's more likely to manifest if you take grains on Ekadasi. And if you have a disease already, the symptoms may be enhanced by having grains on Ekadasi. So we should not take grains on Ekadasi. Let's just look for a moment, just on the physical benefits of fasting on Ekadasi. So, maybe everyone has studied this in school, but I didn't go to school, so it was news to me. When you're looking at your DNA, at the end of the DNA is a part called telomere. And telomere, it's like the little part on the end of your shoelace. You know, you've got that little part and it stops it coming apart, right? So the telomere is on the end of each part of your DNA. And so scientists used to think that your cells, they could reproduce unlimitedly. But then on further observation and investigation, they found actually that's not true. And each time the DNA replicates, that telomere, it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And so finally, it can be about 80 replications. and then that DNA, it reaches the end of its duplication life. So otherwise that goes into a permanent state of dormancy, or it's the cell death. So then they thought, well, how can we slow down this rate of telomere? Because the telomere countdown, it's like on your japamala. The japamala, not the beads of chanting, but we've got our bead counter, right? Odyssey today, so we all try and do 64 rounds, right? So we have this little, so each time your DNA replicates, one piece of telomere comes off, and it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So when there's an end, then that is death. So around the age of 25 to 30, the replicating or the duplicating cells, what's being renewed, and that which is diminishing, the diminishing begins to outweigh that which is being replenished. So that's called aging. So after about the age of 30, roughly speaking, it's going downhill. Now different organs, different parts of the body, they have this replication phase at it's slightly different timings. Some organs, they age slower than others, and their rejuvenation capacity is slower than others. So the scientists were thinking, how can we try to slow down this rate of telomere? And so they've done a lot of investigation, and obviously it's an ongoing field of investigation. One thing they found was that by reducing your calorie intake by, I think it was 1/4, that can slow down the rate of telomere expiration. And so they've done a case study on some people, and they found that if you reduce your calorie intake by 1/4, there was some marked observation of reduced telomere. But then they found that people started to get quite physically weak, so it wasn't so sensible. But then they were looking at fasting, and can fasting help reduce that telomere reduction? So I've heard from one very reliable source, although I couldn't verify this online exactly, but I've heard that if you fast twice a month for 36 hours, it slows down the rate of telomere reduction. So you can prolong your life by observing Ekadasi. And because Ekadasi is in cycle with the lunar phases, then there's all the other health benefits as well. Now, there's been quite a few studies done around the world about the health benefits of fasting and observations in accordance with particular lunar cycles. But from my research, it's quite an uninvestigated area, the fasting of Ekadasi and the scientific observation of it. So it'll be very interesting for more scientific studies to be done of that. But there's certainly a lot of documented observation out there that by fasting, your insulin levels decrease, it lowers ketone production, it changes the balance of your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, glucose, inflammation can also go down by fasting. There's so many benefits of fasting. And perhaps you've heard the term lunatic. Everyone's heard lunatic, right? Person cuts you off in the traffic, oh, lunatic. So where did this term lunatic come from? Anyone know? From the moon. Lunar is moon, right? So lunatic asylum. So there's been many studies done, particularly there was one in India, in Mangalore and a couple of other states, Manipal and Tumkur, that examined 780 psychiatric admissions over 1 year, and they were particularly looking at the effects around the new and full moon. And basically anyone who works in a hospital, in the psychiatric ward in the hospital, they'll tell you that there's a peak in activity around the full moon and around the new moon. So also looking at sleep around the the full moon, people generally get about 30% less delta state, that's deep sleep, during the full moon phase. And so and also it takes, within this controlled group study, at least 5 minutes longer it takes for them to get to sleep during the full moon, because there's an increase in mental activity around that time. And so 20 minutes less sleep overall, so you're getting less sleep, and it's less deep sleep. So less overall subjective quality of sleep. So, and lower melatonin levels also. So the moon's very powerful for those who garden, growing seeds, sap runs in the trees. It's all controlled by the lunar cycles. So everything in the Vedic paradigm is a very great science. So there's a lot of physical benefits just on the physical level of fasting, and in particular fasting with the lunar cycles for the Ekadasi. So if you do it for no other reason, just for your own health, try to fast on Ekadasi. Now, today is also called Madhava Tithi, because this is, it's not just a Tithi, but it's Krishna himself. Ekadasi is Krishna. So today has a lot of spiritual significance as well. And if you can do any sort of meditation, any practice of bhakti, it'll have a lot more merit if it's practiced today on Ekadasi. And so Ekadasi, we've described, it means 11, but it also means upavas. Upavas means to fast. But Param Gurudev, he would explain that the deeper meaning of this is it also means to reside. So with all 11 senses, you should reside on this day very close to Krishna, very close to the Supreme reality. So try to emphasize twice a month on this day, set some time aside to really focus on Krishna, because you'll get a lot of benefit if you do it in this time of Ekadasi. Now, if you're working 7 days a week, you get tired, right? So all around the world, people work 5 days, maybe 6 days, and then they have some break. So in the same way, all the bacteria in your stomach, they're working very hard all the time to digest your food. So you should give them some break. Every 2 weeks, let them have a day off, then they can reset, re-energize. It's also vitally important in Ayurveda, always is, how is your Agni? That is your fire of digestion. Because even if you're eating nice spirulina, raw foods, whatever organic, if you don't have a strong fire in your stomach to digest it, it's a waste of time. So Ayurveda always emphasizes your food should be cooked very well so it's easy to digest. And then when your fire is very strong, then you consider more raw foods and stuff like that. So we should give our fire a break, at least twice a month. So Vaishnavas, they particularly like to remember on this day the history of Ambarish Maharaj. So in our main scripture from our Bhagavatam, there's a history of Ambarish Maharaj, one great king. And he has a pastime that's related to Ekadasi. But maybe before we get into that, let's look at how Ekadasi manifests. So once there was one demon called Mura demon. And he was becoming very powerful, and all the higher beings in the universe, they were becoming very afraid of him. And he was so powerful, actually he was stronger than them. So in modern times we think, oh, the government, etc., they are very powerful, they are very demonic. But in the grand scheme of the Vedic demons, they are like little pink squeaks. Because Hiranyakashipu, he overthrew all the Devas in heaven. So he could travel in his subtle body up to heaven. But the demons nowadays here on earth are trying to use their spaceships and so much gross technology, and it's debatable whether they can even leave the planet or not. Or they can't go so far. So actually, maybe Vishnu doesn't even want to get out of bed to fight these little pinksqueaks. But if there's a great demon, then Vishnu comes because it's his duty to maintain. So the Devatas, they were becoming very afraid of this Mura demon. So they went to Vishnu, oh, please help us. So then Vishnu said, yes, I've heard your prayers. I will take care of this Mura demon. So Vishnu, he went to the city of the Mura demon, and he was attacking all the armies of Mura with his club and with his chakra disc, and he was defeating so many of his associates. And then finally, Mura came there, and he was fighting with Krishna, with Vishnu. And so this battle went on for a very long time, for about 1,000 years. Long time. And then suddenly, Vishnu just left. And everyone was thinking, oh, you can't defeat Mura demon. Oh, how powerful is this demon? So Vishnu, he just left and he went to the Himalayas. And he went to Bajrakashram. And he went to one cave there. Krishna has a bit of a theme like this, just running off mid-battle and going to a cave. So he went into a cave, and then what did he do? He just decided to have a nap. And he lay down and he was sleeping. Because the pastimes of Vishnu, of Krishna, are chamatkar, abut, astonishing. So what kind of warrior just leaves in the battle and goes and has a sleep? We cannot understand the glories of Krishna. So Krishna was sleeping, and then that Mura demon, he followed him, and he found that cave. And so in that cave, he saw Vishnu sleeping, and he took his weapons, and he was going to kill Vishnu while he was sleeping. And then from out of the body of Vishnu, a very bright, effulgent light appeared. And then from that light, a very beautiful demigoddess appeared. And that demigoddess, she was very soft and very beautiful, feminine form, but she was dressed in armor and she had many weapons. So that demigoddess, her name was Ekadasi Devi. So that's the origin of Ekadasi Devi. And so then Ekadasi Devi said, oh, Mura, you want to fight? Fight me. And then Mura, he said, okay, I take up the challenge. And then very quickly, he was finished. And just as he was dying, Vishnu woke up. Oh, what's happening? And then he saw that Mura demon dead. And then Vishnu said to that Devata, oh, I'm very pleased you have killed this demon. Ask from me any boon. And then Ekadasi Devi, she said, I want the ability to be able to destroy all part, all sin. And then so Krishna said to her, because you have appeared on the 11th day, your name will be Ekadasi Devi. And Tatastu, I give you the boon that you can destroy any sin, any part. And anyone who worships you by observing a fast on this day, they can get your benediction and have their sins destroyed. So, actually, let's look now. So on different Ekadasis, they have different names. Today is Kamika Ekadasi. So let's look at some of the benedictions or the power of observing Ekadasi on this day. Blessings achieved by a person who worships Lord Vishnu exclusively are far greater than those achieved by one who takes sacred bath in the Ganges, in the forest of Naimisharanya or Pushkar, where I'm worshipped, but one who observes Kamika Ekadasi and also worships Lord Krishna achieves greater merit than one who has darshan of the Lord of Kedarnath, that is Shiva. One who bathes at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, or one who donates the whole earth in charity, including its forest, oceans, or one who bathes in the Gandaki River. That's up there in Nepal, where the Shaligram Shilas come from. Or one who takes bath in the Godavari River on the full moon on a Monday when Leo and Jupiter are conjoined. Observing Tamika Ekadasi bestows the same merit as one who donates a milking cow with her calf along with their feed. So it's very powerful to observe this day of Ekadasi. So that's one history about how Ekadasi Devi she appeared. So we should not just observe Ekadasi to destroy our material sins. Although that can take place, why we should observe Ekadasi is because on this day we can become closer to Krishna. This is the true power of Ekadasi. But our mind will come up with so many reasons why I can't. There's samosas available at Food for Life. Why I'm like, I'll follow Ekadasi next time. Next time. So the mind is always like this. Or other people around you. You want a piece of toast? Some Vegemite on it, here, take it. Okay. So in this way, we'll find so many reasons not to observe Ekadasi. So there used to be one king. His name was Rukmanga. And he had one son, Dharamanga. And when Rukmanga was older, he renounced his kingdom, as was custom in India, that the great kings, they would renounce the kingdom and they would go and live in a simple hut in the forest and just spend the rest of their days absorbed in meditation. Because at the time of death, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, whatever your mind is meditating on, it sets the scene for your soul to take its next birth. So if you're thinking about your Ferrari or so many things, what are you going to be born as? So we want to be completely detached from material things and attached to Krishna at the time of death. So the kings used to follow this process. So he renounced his kingdom, gave it to Dharamanga, and he went to the forest. And he was doing his spiritual practice there. And that king, before he went, he was actually a very strict follower of Ekadasi. And he used to make an announcement the day before Ekadasi all around the kingdom. Hey, Ekadasi is tomorrow. Everyone should follow Ekadasi. And if you don't follow, jello, you're out of the kingdom. So everyone had to follow Ekadasi. He was very dharmic, very strict. So, because of this, because everyone was observing Ekadasi, no one was going to hell. No one was even going to heaven. Everyone was going to the spiritual world. So then the beings on the other subtle levels, the Devatas and the Asuras, no one was taking residence in their abodes, because everyone was going to the spiritual world. So then they thought, oh, how can we stop this kingdom from observing Ekadasi? We need to create some plan. So then the Devatas, they got together and they said, I have an idea. So then they created one beautiful lady. Her name was Mohini. So this is not Mohini Murti, but different Mohini. So then Ramanga, he coronated Dharamanga to be the king, and he went off to the forest. And when he was in the forest, one very beautiful lady appeared there, Mohini. And she was so beautiful, so enchanting, and she was singing. And as she was singing, all the animals became attracted by her celestial voice. They were just running to her. So then Rukmanga in the forest, he saw her. And he was so attracted by her beauty, he thought, even though I'm renounced, I want to marry you. I don't know who you are, I don't know anything about you, but I want to marry you. And then she said, oh, okay, but on one condition. You must do whatever I say and never question me. Okay, no problem. Sign me up. So then, Rukmanga, he was previously married and he had a queen, but that queen stayed back in the kingdom with her son, Dharamanga. And so then Mohini said, well, you used to be king. I don't want to live here in the forest with you. I want you to go back to the kingdom. I want you to be king, and I want to live in the palace. Okay? Yeah. Okay. The intelligence just goes when lust is there. So off they went back to the kingdom. And then when they arrived back at the kingdom, Dharamanga saw them and he said, oh, my father's back. How glorious. And he bowed down and gave prostrations. And then his former queen, if your husband comes back to the palace with a new wife, how are you going to act? Probably not so happy. But she was like, oh, how wonderful. You are like my sister. And she took all of her finest saris and her finest jewelry, got it together, and she gave to this Mohini. And then they were on the back of a horse actually when they arrived. And Dharamanga, seeing the reception that they received, Mohini was shaking, she was bewildered. What kind of family is this? Like, the former queen, she has greeted me like her sister. Dharamanga is bowing down to me. She was a little uneasy about it. And then Dharamanga, he got down on all fours and said, oh, you get off the horse by stepping on my back, oh mother. You are my mother. So she got off the horse and then she took up her residence in the palace. And Rukmanga, he was king again. So then time was going on, and then it was the Dasami, day before Ekadasi. And so the king, he sent out a message around the kingdom. Tomorrow is Ekadasi, everyone should observe Ekadasi. So then Mohini, she thought, what is this nonsense? What's this Ekadasi? I don't want to follow Ekadasi. And she said to her husband, you don't follow either. And then Rukmanga, he said, oh no, I've always followed Ekadasi. I must follow Ekadasi. And then Mohini, she said, remember that promise you made me in the forest? You must never question me. You must always do as I tell you. And then so Rukmanga, he said, oh, please give me some concession. I must follow Ekadasi. I'm very strict in my vows. And then so Mohini, she thought and she said, okay, you have many learned Brahmana Pandits, many learned priests in your court. Get them together, and if there's some ruling in Sastra that they can find that the king should follow Ekadasi, then you can follow. But if they don't find anything, then you don't follow Ekadasi. And he thought, okay, I'll get my Brahmana Pandits together. So then he called them all. But the night before, because the Brahmanas love money, so she bribed them all, and you go in my favour, because perhaps you know there's due to a curse that the Brahmanas in Kali Yuga will be chasing money, and all the followers of Lord Shiva will be covered in ash. So the Brahmanas, they had their pay in their back pocket, and then they're looking through the Sastra. No, we don't find anything, but what we do find is that you're a Kshatriya, and if you observe the fast, you'll become weak. So how can you protect your citizens? The king should be strong, and only Brahmanas or widows should follow Ekadasi. Not Kshatriyas, not kings. You must remain powerful, you must eat. So then Rukmanga, he said, these Brahmanas are bogus. I still want to follow Ekadasi. And then Mohini, she said, Rukmanga said, please, we must follow Ekadasi. Mohini, she said, okay, you can follow Ekadasi on this one condition. You deliver the son of your head to me on a plate. So then, Rukmanga, he met with his other wife, the mother of Dharmanga. Oh, Mohini has asked for the son of our head, the head of our son on a platter. And then everyone can follow Ekadasi. What would you do?
Tell her to leave.
So, the mother, what did she say? Oh, this is glorious. Because, and the son was there present also, and he said, oh, and we have been born in so many different lives, so many different species. But it's very rare that we're born in a human species. And it's very rare we can follow Ekadasi. And by following Ekadasi, we can be closer to Krishna. So if I can sacrifice this life to be closer to Krishna, this is glorious. And the mother agreed. Just see the faith in Dharma, Bhakti Dharma that the parents had. So then, got out the knife. And the mother, she held the platter. The son had the knife. The father had the knife, and the son got out his head. And then he raised the knife, and just about as he was about to chop, Vishnu appeared there. Don't do it. And then Mohini, she became bewildered. And it is actually said sometimes right then and there, they all went to the spiritual world, apart from Mohini. And then Mohini said to Vishnu, oh, you give shelter to everyone. So please give some concession to me. I must take shelter somewhere. And then Vishnu said, okay, when the Ekadasi falls on the Dasami, whatever remnants of the sacrifice are going on that day, that remnant goes to you. I won't go too much into astrological calculations, but some concession was given there to Mohini. So we should have faith like that family, Nishja, try to follow Ekadasi. Very, very powerful. Now, back to the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. So, Ambarish Maharaj, he was a very great Vaishnava, and he was in Madhuvan in Brajmandal, so he was a Brajbasi. And he used to follow Ekadasi very strictly. He would follow it for 3 days. On the day before Ekadasi, he would take one meal, because actually Ekadasi Prasadam, that's for the day before Ekadasi. And on Ekadasi, you should actually fast if you have the physical ability to do so. And then the day after Ekadasi, he used to follow very strictly like this. And all of his senses were under control. And so that's what he's Maharaj. Because, if we smell some chocolate, then the sense of smell then dictates to the mind, oh, enjoy, and then we're just following, like a donkey following the carrot. We look at something, we want to touch something, so we're just led here and there by the senses and by the mind. But Ambarish Maharaj, his soul was completely controlling his senses, and if his senses didn't want to follow his command, he would punish them. It said that Gorkashore Das Babaji Maharaj, he would, one time, one desire came on his tongue, I want to taste sweet rice. So then he said, oh, you want to taste sweet rice tongue? Okay then, and he got some mud from the Jamuna, from the Ganga, and then he was licking the mud. And he said, how do you like that tongue? That's pretty extreme, but and then another time, one sadhu, one saint, he was giving Bhagavatam class, and one man came along and he sat down and he was listening, and there was some people in the audience, they were crying because they were very high level Vaishnavas, and they were in Bhav. They were having ecstatic emotions and expressing the symptoms of realizing that Harikatha. So then that man thought, oh, everyone's crying, I'm not crying. Okay. Tomorrow I'll come, and I'll come with a chili. And then if you break a chili open and you mush it, you get juice out of it. So he got the chili juice, and then he sat down, and then he was putting the chili juice in his eye, and he was weeping as he was listening to Harikatha. And he was thinking, oh, everyone will think I'm in Bhav, I'm really exalted. So then he was crying, and then at the end of the Harikatha, that sadhu came up to him, and that sadhu said, oh, you know, it says in Sastra, if your senses aren't following Krishna, you should punish them. And I've never seen an example of it until today, because that sadhu knew that he was putting chili in his eye. But instead of criticizing him, he turned it around and made a compliment of it. So this is the glories of the saint, is that any small thing that you do, they see the good thing in it and they can amplify it. But the materialistic person, you do one bad thing and it's on social media, it's on Instagram, there's a plane flying through the sky with a banner. Our mind loves to just amplify little negative things, you know. And if someone's done one bad thing to you in life, that's how you define them and you imprison them for the rest of their life. You make a mental cell in your head for them, and that's where they stay. And it doesn't matter if they do so many other things, that's where you keep them. So this is the difference between the materialistic person and the sadhu, the saint, is they see your potential. And who was a great exemplar of that? Swami Maharaj. Because he saw a small incentive someone had for Krishna, whatever their qualities, and he could engage that in Krishna's service. And that's how Krishna consciousness exploded in the West. Oh, you like being creative? You can make a garland for Krishna. You like cooking? Cook for Krishna. You like gardening? You can garden for Krishna. You like painting? You can paint a picture of Krishna. Whatever you do, whatever you like doing, engage that in the service of Krishna. And then whatever you don't like doing, engage that in the service of Krishna too. So this is the vision of the sadhu. So when the sadhu said that to that man, then really real tears came in his eyes. Because he could see, oh, this guy's a sadhu, really. And then he had a change of heart. So Ambarish Maharaj, his senses were completely under control. And it was a Ekadasi. I think most of you know this history very well, but it was the Ekadasi, and after the Ekadasi, we break the fast at a particular...
I need to go, so I'm going to the car.
The keys must be in my bag.
So everyone,
So for those who may not be aware, we have Janmashtami coming up, 5th of September, so it's only 4 weeks away. So I vowed I wasn't going to organise it this year, but it seems I'm still Christmas not and onwards.
So we break the fast at a particular astrological calculation, and depending on where you are around the world, the astrologers, they calculate that you break the fast at this particular time to get the maximum benefit of the fast. So in one sense, it's not a tapasya, it's not a tapa. It's an observation, and we break the fast in accordance with Krishna's calendar. So the time was coming for Ambarish Maharaj to break his fast, and then one yogi appeared there, very powerful yogi sage called Durvasa. And Durvasa, seeing that Durvasa had come, Ambarish Maharaj thought, oh, I should honour him and make him a nice meal. It's custom in Vedic culture to honour your guest. I'll make a nice meal for him and we can break the fast together. But then Durvasa Muni, he thought, oh, I want to go to the river to do my meditation. So he went to the river to do his meditation when we were in Brahmagayatri, and he was meditating on the impersonal light. And then the time was going on, and it was coming close to the Param time to break the fast. So Ambarish Maharaj, he was in a quandary. What should I do? If I break the fast, but I don't honour my guests, if I eat before my guests, I'm breaking the rules of social custom. If I don't break the fast, I'm making an offence to Bhakti Devi. So what should I do? Should I offend Bhakti? Or should I offend the rules of social order? Which one? So then he got his Brahmana priests together and they thought, please give me some solution. And they were looking through their books, scratching their head, and they couldn't find any solution. But because Ambarish Maharaj, he's a Mahabhagava, a great realized soul, he found the perfect scriptural injunction that would maintain both of them. So because he was doing Nirjal fast, no water, if he drank some Charitamrita, some water used to wash the deities, then he was breaking his fast, but he also wasn't eating. It's not classified as a food. So he was maintaining the dharmic social injunctions, but he was also honouring Bhakti Devi. So then he took just a few drops of Charitamrita, but then in his mystic meditation in the river, Durvasa Muni knew, he's eaten something, he's broken his fast before I ate something. And he was very offended. So then he came storming out of the river and went to Ambarish Maharaj. Hey, I thought you were very gentle, but you are cruel, you ate before me. Because yogis can have a lot of pride sometimes. So Durvasa said, actually, I don't even eat food because his name is Durvasa. That means Durva grass. He only eats the juice, drinks the juice of Durva grass. So nowadays we know that wheat juice grass is very good for us, but Durvasa Muni, he's the original vegan, just drinking grass juice. But out of kindness for you, I was going to eat some food, but then you ate before me, and he became very angry, and he pulled out one jata, one dreadlock, and then threw it on the ground, and from that dreadlock, one fiery demon manifested. And then that demoness, she was going to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And then Ambarish Maharaj, if some fiery demon came in the room right now running towards you to kill you, what would you do? Ambarish Maharaj, he was just like, Rajure mana Srinanda Nandana Abhaya Charana Vindure. He had no fear because he was completely surrendered to Krishna. When you are surrendered to Krishna, you have no fear. So if Krishna wants to kill me, well, the devotee thinks, currently I'm doing seva in this body, but then I'll be relocated to another body. So just relocation. Krishna supplies immigration, visa, passport, everything. Somewhere else to do seva. So he was just thinking like this. But then Sudarshan Chakra, the disc of the Supreme Lord, appeared there and killed that demoness, and then that disc started to come towards that yogi, Durvasa Muni. And then so now Durvasa Muni, he is faced with death. And so what did he do? He wasn't, he was scared and he went running. And because he has all mystic powers, he was flying through the sky. And he went to Brahmalok, he went to Shiva Lok, and he was praying to all of them, oh, please help me, please help me. And they go, we can't do anything. You should go to Vishnu. So then, this was going on for a long time, for 1 whole year actually. This disc was chasing this yogi, and the yogi was going all around the universe. And then finally, Durvasa Muni, he went to see Lord Vishnu. Now an important point here is that he didn't go to the spiritual world to see Vishnu, because no yogi can go to the spiritual world, only if they're doing some bhakti. So within the material universe, there's one Vaikuntha planet called Rama Kriya Vaikuntha, and Narayan is situated there with Lakshmi Devi. So that yogi, he went to that planet. And so then he went to Narayan and he said, "Oh, please save me." And then Narayan said to him, "I can't help you." And then Durvasa said, "What? This is your weapon. This is your disc. It's part of your swaroop. Why can't you help me?" And then Lord Narayan said, "Because I'm completely under the control of my devotee. And so whatever my devotee wants, that is all that I do. So you should go and you should pray to Ambarish Maharaj." And actually, do you know why you're not killed? It's only because Ambarish Maharaj is already praying for you. Because all throughout the Sastra, anytime Vishnu's Chakradisc appears, that demon's finished. Instantly. But for one whole year, Durvasa Muni was going all around the universe, and the reason the disc didn't kill him, because Ambarish Maharaj was praying, "Oh, please let him live." That's one reason for it. And another reason is that actually Durvasa Muni, he is Shiva himself, one answer of Shiva, one expansion of Shiva. And so Vaishnavam Yata Shambho, Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. Shiva is the greatest follower of Krishna. So how is it that Shiva can perform a pastime that looks like he's against Krishna and his devotees? It's not possible. So what Shiva was doing, in conjunction with the Chakradisc, is they were doing a pastime advertising the glories of bhakti, as opposed to doing yoga. Because you can do yoga, and you can get mystic cities. Many people, they do yoga so they can get liberation. Nothing wrong with doing the asana for your physical health. But when you're doing it just for liberation, this is still averse to the true function of your soul. The true function of your soul is to serve Krishna, not just to chase mystic powers. So Durvasa Muni, he was advertising, "Oh, for all those people who want to follow yoga, it's not as powerful as bhakti." So then Durvasa Muni, he took leave of Vishnu after Vishnu was saying, "The devotees, they are my heart, and for the devotees, I am their heart. We only know each other. That's all we know." So Durvasa Muni, he came back to Earth planet, to Madhuvan, and he fell at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And he was begging at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj, "Oh, please forgive me." But great saint, they don't take offense. There's nothing to forgive. And actually, I've been fasting this whole time because I still haven't eaten anything. I'm waiting for you to come and we can take prasadam together. I'm not sure how he was following the Vadasi for that year, but anyway. So this is the glories of the Vaishnavas. So on this day, the Vaishnavas like to remember the pastimes of Ambarish Maharaj. There's many other nuances within this pastime of Ambarish Maharaj, but I won't go too much into that today. So I think that's pretty good. Little introduction to the glories of Ekadasi and what some of the significance is on this day of Ekadasi. So the moon's very powerful. It's moving all the water on earth. Well, one name for Krishna is called Krishna Chandra. Chandra means the moon. So Krishna, he's dark complexion. Shama Sundar. Not black, but like a dark rain cloud. Have you ever seen a black moon? Moon's fair. So how is Krishna Chandra? How is it? This is astonishing. A moon that is both dark and effulgent at the same time. Krishna Chandra. And then that same Krishna Chandra, he is wanting to taste the love of his devotees. And most of all, he wants to taste the love of his most loving devotee. So he has another avatar that is called Gaurachandra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he has a golden complexion. He has a golden complexion because he is dressed in the effulgence of Srimati Radhika, of the goddess, because he has come to taste her love. So we are coming in this line of followers of Krishna in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that form of Krishna that is the golden moon of Krishna. And why is he golden? Because he is dressed in the bhav and the sentiments of Srimati Radhika. So on Ekadasi, we pray to the mercy of Ekadasi Devi, we pray for the mercy of Krishna, we pray for the mercy of our Guru Parampara, and we most of all pray for the mercy of Srimati Radhika. Shri Ekadasi Devi ki, Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Parampara ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Guru Premanande. Any thoughts, questions, reflections, complaints? Complaints are welcome.
That was just an introduction.
Yes, I've got a sore throat, so I'm not going to speak too much today.
We should maybe we should like do this kind of class every Ekadasi. Would be interesting.
Each Ekadasi has a particular theme, and there's a particular pastime story associated with each Ekadasi. So this book goes through all the Ekadasis, and it's got the pastimes of each Ekadasi. So each Sunday feast, when that falls on Ekadasi, maybe we can hear the glories of Ekadasi. So, very, very powerful. And Krishna actually says Ekadasi is more powerful than Janmashtami, on his own birthday. So Ekadasi is very powerful. So on this day we should try to make some effort to observe Ekadasi in some way, and in this way we can please Krishna. And lots of benefit for our physical body, and you can share with your friends. Just fast on this day, it's good for your physical health. And in this way they'll also get some spiritual merit. Oh, because actually, you know, how did Prahlad Maharaj become Prahlad Maharaj? We know that he was hearing Harikatha in the womb of his mother, Kayadu, from Narad Rishi, right? In Narad's ashram, that's in Brajmandal also. But in his previous life, Prahlad Maharaj, he was a bit of a debauchery, and he was attracted to one lady, and then he was quite wealthy. And then he squandered all his money away, and then money finished. And then that lady was like, no money, no honey, chalo. so he was kind of depressed, and he went off into the forest. And he had no food, so he was fasting. And then so he took shelter in one dilapidated temple that was a Narsingha temple. And it was Narsingha Tridadasi, the appearance day of Nrsimhadev. So he happened to fast, not exactly on Ekadasi, but on a day like Ekadasi. And he got lots of spiritual merit. And then in his next life, he was born in the womb of Kayadu, the son of Hiranyakashipu. So just by observing Ekadasi, you can make a lot of spiritual advancement. And then perhaps you also know that Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, you know, Nanda was getting quite old and he had no children. And then so all the Brajbasis, they were thinking, oh, Nanda Baba hasn't had a child, he hasn't had a son. We should do some yagyas. So then Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba can have a son. So then the villagers, they were doing yagyas, trying to do, so Nanda Baba and Yashoda could have a son. And then Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, they both had a dream one night. And in that dream, one so beautiful child came to them, who had a complexion like a fresh rain cloud. And he liked to eat butter and mutton. So then they woke up and they said, I had a strange dream last night. And then the other one said, I had a strange dream last night. And they said, all the Brajvasis are doing yajnas for us to have a beautiful child. But we don't think there's a yajna powerful enough to have a child so beautiful as what we dreamed last night. It's not possible. So, we should follow Ekadasi very strictly for 1 year. So both Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, they followed Ekadasi very strictly for 1 year. And they gave birth to Krishna. So by following Ekadasi, you can have Krishna as your own child. Not exactly because they're eternal parents, but you get the suggestion. So Ekadasi is a very, very powerful day. Hare Krishna. Yes.
What we do with the prasad?
With the prasad,
No?
well, you can take it if you want. You know, in Jagannath Puri, I think it was in Puri, that the Smarta Brahmanas, they didn't like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much. This is one avatar of Krishna, the golden Krishna. So they thought, we should get him to eat grains on Ekadasi, make him fall down from his position, and then he can lose face in society. So then, famous in India is Jagannath Prasad, the spiritual food that's been blessed by Jagannath. So then they got some Jagannath Mahaprasad and they brought it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on Ekadasi. They thought, now he has to honour Mahaprasad, but it's grains. So they were like this, So they gave him the Mahaprasad, and then what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? He got up, Jagannath Prasad, and he gave pranams, and he was chanting and doing bhajans, glorifying Mahaprasadam all night long. Well, he didn't eat any of it, but he was glorifying it so much no one could say that he did not honour Prasadam. And so then he waited until the next day, and then on the Param time, him and associates, then they honoured the Mahaprasadam. So we can honour the Prasadam by all giving pranams. But if you feel you need to eat, you can also eat, no problem. But we can know for the future, it's good to try to follow Ekadasi in some way. But at the very least, don't take grains. Even for your own physical health, don't take grains on Ekadasi. And all the prasadam here today, it would be no grains. So, Hare Krishna.